Hi, welcome to another craft video from the Kansas City, Kansas Public Library. I'm Cheryl and I do the craft kits at the main library. Today's video is to accompany a craft kit that we'll be giving out at the main library starting August 1st, 2022. What we'll be making today is this adorable little book. Now your kit's going to come with the pages pre-prepared, and you're going to be making the cover. You will need everything in the kit, and you will need to provide a pair of scissors and a pencil or pen for tracing the template. Okay, so let's get started and show you how. Okay, in your kit you will be getting a couple of different choices of scrapbook paper. This is the one I've chosen for mine. You will be getting a pad of paper. This is going to be the actual contents of the book, the pages of the book. You'll get two heavy pieces of cardboard pre-cut to the right size for your book covers. You'll get two white pieces of cardstock pre-cut. These are going to be used to reinforce the spine of the book. You'll get a template that you'll be using to cut out the paper with, and you'll get two glues. The first is a glue stick, and this is going to be used to glue your paper to the covers. And this is E6000 glue, and this will be used to glue the whole cover to your pad of paper. Now, if you've never used E6000, these little tubes, this one's been opened, but you'll receive an unopened one, and in order to use this, you will need to break the seal on it. So you will need to take your lid off, and in the back of the lid there's a little pointy thing, and you'll just push it down onto the tip of your glue to break the seal and open it, and then it'll be ready to use. So let's get started, and I'll show you how to do it. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut out the template, and you're not going to cut inside here, you're just going to cut around the edge. Alright, now I'm going to trace around this on my scrapbook paper. And then I'm going to cut this out. Okay, so I've got that cut out. Now, my next step is going to be to flip it over, and I'm going to fold down the flaps, because this particular piece of scrapbook paper is a little more heavy duty. If you've got a thinner piece of scrapbook paper, then you can skip straight to gluing on the pieces. But this one is a little bit more heavy duty, and I find that it's nice to just kind of gently fold over and crease it from that corner to corner. That helps me keep it down when I'm going to be gluing the pieces onto it. But this step is optional. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to line the cardboard pieces. We're going to line them up with the corners. We're going to be gluing these pieces down. I didn't quite make it to that corner. I folded it badly. Okay, we're going to line these up with the corners, and we're going to glue these down. And then we're going to take this long skinny piece and we're going to glue it right in between those two. And that should not touch the two cardboard pieces. There's going to be a little bit of a gap that gives it enough room to curve around the spine when you put it together. So I'm going to put glue stick all over and glue this down. I'm going to just run a line of glue down the center, and I'm going to put this straight between the two pieces so that it's in the center and not touching either one of them. Now I'm going to start gluing the flaps down. So I'm going to actually fold them over and crease them with my nail to make sure that's going to stay nicely before I glue them. Okay, now I'm going to put the glue on and I'm going to glue them down. Now, because this one happens to be a stiff paper, I can tell that it wants to kind of pull up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over, I'm going to put something heavy on it, and I'm going to let it set for about 5 to 10 minutes just to make sure the glue dries completely and it's all set to go. Okay, I've let it set under some heavy books for a few minutes. Now I'm going to make sure that I can bend this without it pulling up the glued parts. Okay, that's great. So now we've got the cover created. Now I'm going to set that aside for a second, and I'm going to bring out the pad of paper and the other piece of cardstock. Now this is going to be an extra reinforcement that goes around the sides here. So what I'm going to do is find the side that does not open, find the spine of the book. That's the one you want to glue it onto. And I'm going to kind of line it up, and I'm going to try and crease it just a little bit to make sure that it's going to stay nicely. Okay, so now I've got a little crease there. Now for this part, I'm going to use both the Elmer's glue stick and the E6000 because I want a nice, good quality glue on this part that's still going to be flexible, and that's going to be the E6000. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up, make sure it's opened, the tube is open by puncturing the seal, and just run a little line of glue. It doesn't have to be big, just a little line. I'm going to place that right in that crease that we did before and give it a good contact. I'm going to take my glue stick and I'm going to run this along here, and I'm going to flip it over and do the same thing here. And that will reinforce the spine nicely in case the glue holding the spine together, the pages together, in case that comes apart, that will form a little extra security there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to glue this into here. Now one thing I do want to tell you is do not run glue down this spine. We do not want this glued in to here. That's a no-no. Because if you do that, you'll have a hard time opening it, because when you open it, that little piece has to form like a little air pocket to kind of be, it needs to be able to move as you're opening. So you will glue here and here, but not the center. Okay, so now I'm going to glue here. I'm going to run some glue close to the edge, but not all the way up to it. And I'm going to run some in the center. Okay. Now I'm going to place this in here, center it, and fold it up nicely. Now you see, this is why we don't run the glue all the way to the edge, and I've even gone it a little bit extra because it's a little too much there. If you're worried about it, you can always put the glue in here instead of on the cover itself. So let's do that on this side so I can show you also. Just a nice little layer like that. Fold it up. Make sure it's nice and centered. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put something heavy on this to weight it down, and then I'm going to go away and I'm going to let it sit for a few hours, and I'm not going to use it for at least 24 hours because this particular glue needs about 24 hours to completely cure permanently. So you want to leave it there. I would personally just set a book on top of it and set it aside for 24 hours before I even moved it. And that's going to be your book. You'll have your own little notebook that you can use to note things down, and it's great to put in a purse or something like that. And that's the craft for today. Thanks for coming to another craft video from the Kansas City, Kansas Public Library. I'll see you next time. Bye.